4 weeks ago, on New Year's Day, I put out a tweet telling everyone that I was starting a new community football club where I live in Tullibody. Turns out a lot of things can happen in 4 weeks. My name's Derek, also known as Moza, and this is the story so far of Tullibody St Serf Football Club. Thank you very much for clicking the video and tuning in. This is an initial update on what we have done so far to set a structure in place, to get things moving, and hopefully it'll help you guys if you're considering getting a football club going as well. Regardless of the size, regardless of the ambitions, every club needs to go through the same things, the same teething problems, the same issues, and hopefully we can provide a bit of guidance on that front as well. So as a starting point, I should probably explain about the area, about who we are, and why we've done this to start this football club. So Tullibody is an area in the middle of Clackmannanshire in Scotland. It's not the most well-off place in the world, it's a typical working class town and basically needs something. There used to be loads of football kind of in years gone by. With a lot of places like this, the pandemic lockdown has had a huge effect, not just in sports provisions but mental health. The community needs something to rally around, and basically it got to the point where I suddenly became available and I thought the time has come to try and do something. If it doesn't work out, so be it, but it looks like it is, which is obviously a good place to start. So we have formed this community football club. The first thing and the most important thing is it is owned by and run by the community. It is not an ego trip for myself, it is not an ego trip for anyone else. Anyone can get elected onto the board. The committee run the club for the benefit of all the teams underneath it, not just the senior team. And the idea is you'll have men's teams, a women's team and youth sides all contributing together into a proper community club that Tullibody can be proud of. First thing up was branding. So luckily enough, because I am a content creator, you'll find me on Twitch and so on as well. I mainly play Football Manager and I created a save around this fictional at the time Tullibody Football Club. So I had come up with a colour scheme, a logo that looked pretty good and it had a bit of meaning behind it. The reason for the club being called Tullibody St Serfs is because that's the area we live right beside. It's a historic area of the town, and initially when I'd looked at pitches that could be available in this kind of a fantasy example, I was looking at the Coosey or Bankery Park as a council call it. So that's the place where the town started initially, and that's where the first house steading was built, and it just made sense as part of the story. Funny, real life can follow fiction, and if all goes well, that's where I'd like to set as our home base of operations. We'll get to that later on in the video, but long story short, we had all that in place so we could jump straight into policies, procedures and governance, which probably is the most important thing when you're getting started with a new football club. In terms of a checklist, branding, got the logo, got the name, got the idea of where we would like to be based going forward. We will initially be playing games though at the main Abercrombie pitches in Tullibody beside the Civic Centre, because that is the only available grass pitches for the community. And again, this is another reason we wanted to get started, to hopefully use the club as a vehicle to get better facilities and better amenities for people in the town. We've got almost 10,000 people here, 2 grass pitches. It's not great. We need more than that for the community, and we need somebody to drive it, so why not us? In terms of policies, procedures and so on, the main thing was getting a constitution document that sets out who we are, what we're wanting to do and how we're going to do it. To do this, I used Google, I'll be honest, a lot to get policies and procedures of other clubs that we have tried to aspire to be like. Cumbernauld Colts, Socky Juniors, Spartans, all these kind of really decent community organisations, not just football clubs, taking a little bit from each and use the governing bodies documentation. If you look for it, you'll find it. There's loads out there, and make sure you run it by someone that knows their stuff would be my main recommendation on this front. I produced a document initially, I thought it was great. I then realised it wasn't quite right because there are certain things you need to include, most importantly a dissolution clause that basically says if the club falls through, if things end up ceasing to exist, anything that the club holds asset wise will go to the benefit of the community and its people. that opens you up to all sorts of funding opportunities, charitable and not charitable, and it's just an important thing to have for the functioning of the club as well. So that is now in there, and that's the advantage of taking things a wee bit slower just to make sure you do things correctly at this really important, technically first stage, but we're saying the second stage because we already had branding in place. Next step, and again really important step, was to form a committee, because as much as it was my vision and my idea for the club, I can't do this myself. I need to give people responsibilities and give people an opportunity to get involved to make it a success. Luckily, you'll probably meet her as time goes on, but we met Lauren, who is basically been named as secretary for now, but as far as I see it, she's capable of doing everything and anything. She's really community focused, works in charity funding, ideal for what we want to do, not just as a sporting organisation but helping the community out. And I've also roped my wife in to be treasurer initially, but we're running it as a skeleton community up until June. A skeleton committee, I should say. And at that point there will be a full AGM. It will happen at the end of every season, so every June, and people in the town will be able to nominate themselves if they want to get involved, get on the board, get on the committee, and help to run the club, which should hopefully make it sustainable and very transparent as well. So you've got your club set up, branding, policies, committee. Need to get a team going at this point. So what we have done is applied, and we're just waiting for final confirmation of acceptance, to the Stirling and District Amateur Premier League. I say Premier League, there is just one league. It used to have 40 odd clubs before lockdown. Unfortunately, it is down to kind of 8 to 10 clubs at the moment, so we're hoping that we can help to swell the numbers of that a little bit. But it is based in Stirling, Falkirk and surrounding areas, and it gives us a bit of local pride as well, which was another thing that was going to be important to fasten that feeling behind the town of playing against other towns and other areas. So we can represent Tullibody to the best of our ability, hopefully be competitive, and use that as a good grounding to then form other teams around about it and follow the same procedures and the same structure. Obviously, to compete in said league, we need a squad and we need a coaching team. I initially will be helping out on the coaching side. Realistically, I'd rather not be doing that full time as the main man because I've got a club to run and build up, so we'll be looking to appoint a head coach. We've got a few notes of interest already, which is great. So what we did to get those notes of interest, not just on the coaching side but also the playing side, was put out simple Google forms, and all we had to do was put the word out on social media. This was a club, this was again started, if you're interested, fill this in, give us an email address, let us know, and we'll keep in touch. And that's been a really important step for us. All I've done is sent out a few update emails as time has gone by. People have really appreciated those because it's given a window into what's happening and what to expect going forward. And with that, we've had over 30 declarations of interest in playing. I've already had 10 plus guys fully commit and they're ready to go when we get started. For anyone watching this that might want to get involved either playing or coaching, the plan is end of February we will start our training sessions, initially once or twice a week, and we'll build up as we start to play a couple of friendlies in April or May time ahead of the new season coming along in August. So we'll get a full pre-season before August and we'll hit the ground running, all being well. Of course, it's not just playing staff, it's not just coaching staff that you need to have a successful football team. You also need to make connections with community partners and hopefully sponsors as well. So we've already started the process of this. My aim as the chairperson of this football club is for the amateur side is to be accessible to all. Basically, we don't want to be setting charges, monthly charges that people can't afford to play. The whole point of us being there is to offer an outlet for people to play football, to get involved, and to hopefully help with the other issues I mentioned in terms of mental health and education. If we can be a force for good, brilliant. So I am aiming to keep prices down, membership fees down to about £10 a month to cover everything. Be that training facilities, be that match fees. You don't need to worry about anything else. You get given your kit. Hopefully, if we can get sponsorship on board with it, we can give you some training kit as well, and it just makes things a hell of a lot easier for everyone. We are in talks right now with a potential main sponsor. Hopefully we'll have news on that front soon, because if we are able to secure what I'm looking to secure, not only will we get funding for this senior men's side, which will happen regardless, but we'll also have funding to start a women's side, hopefully joining the women's the women's pyramid that has just got started in terms of regional leagues all the way up to the top flight, to the Premier. Also a main youth side, and we can build on that from there. So it is very exciting, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. As soon as things are signed and sealed, I'll be more than happy to tell the world, but until then, hold that thought. Not just about sponsorship though, we've also made a deal that isn't a financial deal. We've basically got in touch with the local gym. I will confirm it when, again, it is all signed and sealed, but the idea is we will carry them on the sleeve of our shirts in return for them giving all of our players an hour of gym time every week. Again, just trying to build up that ethos of being community first. We're given access to physical help in terms of physical health, and it's something that's a benefit as part of being part of the team that the guys can go and do together, not just in training times but anytime they like. So just again trying to add more and more to it as we go along. Finally, because not everyone will want to play, people do want to get behind us that might not be necessarily in the town, they might be from the town or know my content side from elsewhere. We are also looking to open a club shop with gear that you can buy. We are in final talks with someone to get this sorted up as well. Again, it's a local company, which again was something that was really important to me, that I can, if anything is needed, go and speak to them face to face. So that hopefully will all be set up next month as well, in time for the start in training. If you want to buy a shirt, the shirts will be available on there. Home and away shirts, we'll reveal them in due course. Fingers crossed with thank you sponsor emblazoned all over it as well. There'll also be a variety of things like scarves, hats, the things you'd expect from a football club, and anything you buy on there will help us, and every penny that is spent or every penny that is donated to us gets invested within the club on new equipment and the quote-unquote grand plan that I'm about to go through now. So thank you in advance to anyone who does want to get behind us, be that playing, be that supporting, however you want to get in touch, get behind us. Every single person will be much appreciated. So, grand plan time. I have kind of alluded to this already in terms of what we want to be able to achieve, but long story short, we will start off in this 2023-24 season with a men's senior adult team in the amateur leagues. All being well, we will follow that with a women's team and also a main youth team, likely under 20s if not under 18s, and then we will build the youth system down from that through the age groups. Obviously we will need to get coaches in for that, so we intend to cover prices of coaching courses for anyone that wants to get involved from the local area, and that is something we aspire to do generally for anyone that wants to get involved with us, not just on the coaching side but also potentially on the playing side if there's any advancement there, and maybe even getting involved with the Saltire Awards for young people in terms of working on the club, helping out the committee, doing all sorts of extracurricular work. Also, in terms of our home ground, while we will be using the two pitches down at Abercrombie, our long-term plan is to use the Cousy and to build up a facility for the town, not just for football but for any sporting pursuits that's open to the community as well. So with that, we have placed an official note of interest to Clackmannanshire Council of acquiring the site at the Cousy based on if we can achieve funding for an AstroTurf 3G all-weather pitch, changing facilities and a few other basics as well. With those basics in place, this is a long time down the line, we're talking a couple of years at this point. If we can achieve this and get those funding sources in place to build up the facilities there is the potential to have a senior men's side in the men's football pyramid joining the East of Scotland Football League. It's not something we're going to dwell on, it's not something we're going to focus on until we are able to do it, but that is a huge aspiration we have, to have the town represented in both senior pyramids, male and female, as well as all the youth teams and the amateur teams below that are open to all. If we can do that, we will have a situation where we'll have a pathway from the very early stages, early touches, all the way through to potential a senior side in the leagues. And if you're good enough, you'll be able to get the exposure there to move up the levels and create a good career for yourself. So, big plans, but at the end of the day, trees grow from small acorns, and that's where we are right now. It is very, very early stages, so if you are interested in getting involved and helping in any way, if there's something you think you can bring to the table to help me, to help us, please get in touch. You can get in touch any social medias. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, all at Tullibody St SFC, just to make sure it's the same across everywhere. We will have a website, that same handle, Tullibody St SFC.club. That will come along in due course as well with further information. And you can get me on Twitter at MozaPlays as well if you want to drop me personally a DM. My DMs are open, so please do feel free to message on there if you have any queries or just general concerns or anything you want to bring to my attention. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will drop us a subscription and keep an eye on the journey as we progress. I hope that we will be here on this channel doing this in the summertime with the team ready to get started in the new season and further developments, and we can look back at this and think, did a lot in 4 weeks, and it was a good start. That's where we want to get to, but the long journey has just started. There is a lot of work ahead, and I can't wait to get stuck in. So thank you very much for your attention, for your interest. I will catch you in the next video, and until then, have a great one. Adios.